Hello lovelies, it's time for my June wrap-up. Sorry this is a little late. It's been kind of crazy. 4th of July stuff and life, and I'm really articulate today. Books that I read. Technically I finished Crest on June 1st, so that kind of goes in my June wrap-up, but I've already talked about the Lunar Chronicles. I love them. They're amazing. I need winter. If you would like to check out my Lunar Chronicles book talk with Josh BookDragon, I will link to that in the underbar, so please check that out. While I was at Josh's house, I went to the library with him, and on his library card I checked out 2 books. And so I read those kind of in a frantic, I don't think that's a thing. I read them frantically. I'm tired. Ugh. I read The Key to Rondo by Emily Rada, quickly followed by The Wizard of Rondo, also by Emily Rada, and they were just so fun. It's a really delightful fantasy world, very familiar fantasy, but with some unexpected elements. I just love Emily Rada's writing so much, and I really love her characters. I feel like she did a lot with this one, with Mimi and Leo's relationship, and Mimi is just such a complex character, and I really love her and the way she comes into her own during the story. But I also really love Leo. I felt like he was a fantastic narrator, just really interesting. I don't know, he was fun. I loved how quirky and weird it was. One of the main characters is a pig, and there's also a duck. One of the characters is part tiger. And it just kind of is normal, because fantasy, you can do that. I loved, in the first one, it was really hard to know who you were supposed to trust, and it was kind of stressful. And then the second one was a murder mystery, which I had not really expected. It was strange and random, and I really loved it. The Rondo books are a trilogy, and when I got home I didn't have the 3rd book. I had to wait like a whole day to go to the library, and so in the meantime I read Rebel Belle, which I had borrowed from Josh. It was just so fun. It is one of the silliest books I've ever read. It's super cliche, and the writing is terrible. Not the storytelling. Like, the story is compelling, the language is funny, the first-person narrator is spot on, but there are grammar mistakes, and I don't just mean like wording, I mean like paragraphing mistakes and punctuation errors and things that just really started to get on my nerves. As a writer in editor mode, it just was a little painful to read. It really needed several more edits. I hold the author very much accountable for this, because you should take responsibility for your own books. But I kind of feel like whoever edited these books should be fired, because they suck at their job. However, I didn't care about the cliché plot, I didn't care about the terrible writing, because the storytelling was so great, and the characters were fabulous, and I was just amused the whole book. It's so silly. I probably wouldn't have read this book if it hadn't been recommended to me. The books are very high school. Language and references and things I didn't really appreciate. And starting reading, I was expecting a very normal high school novel. But it had come recommended, and Josh had hinted at other stuff, and so I held on, and I made it to the end of the 1st chapter, and it was so brilliant, and I laughed so hard, and then I just got pulled in, and the rest of it was a really fast read, super entertaining. Some of the dialogue is so good. I kept having to stop and read lines out loud because they were just so clever and so funny. And then I got my audiobook of The Wizard of Rondo. Nope, that was the 2nd one. And then I got the audiobook for the Battle for Rondo. I can say that. Then I got the audiobook of The Battle for Rondo, and the narrator was Australian, so that just made everything more fun. I felt like the climax was spot on, exactly what I wanted. I really liked the addition of Spoiler as a character, like, as a major character. I also really loved the use of fairy tales, and that goes for all 3 of the books, because it's very clearly fairy tale references, but it's never spelled out. Some of them are super subtle, and they're all kind of twisted in weird ways. Following The Battle for Rondo, I read Miss Mayhem? Yeah, that's what it's called. Miss Mayhem, which is the 2nd book in the Rebel Belle series. Loved it. More happens in the 1st book. The 1st book is more action-packed. This one kind of felt like a bridge book, but I read this book for the dialogue and the narration and stuff way more than the story, so it didn't really matter that nothing was happening because I was still amused. And I just really like David and Harper. Except that they were being ridiculous this book. Oh my gosh. Harper is ridiculous, and I kind of want to smack her. but I love her, so it's okay. The ending felt like an ending. Like, I actually thought it was only a duology, and I was like, are you really ending there? Because that was depressing, and so I had to go look, and I could not find the third book anywhere. I finally found in the middle of an interview with the author, she mentioned that the third book was coming out next year, and I was so relieved, because that ending was not okay. And then for the Novel Alliance book club, which I do with Josh BookLover and Quinny and Company, I read The Alchemist by Michael Scott. You can check out our full book talk on that on Quinny's channel. I will link to it in the underbar. Suffice it to say, I was not a fan. In fact, I was so bored I felt like I was dying, and I probably wouldn't have read the whole book if it hadn't been for a book club. There were things I really liked about it. I liked the mythology of it, but it really was not a fun read. No. And finally, I read the Ravenhill Mysteries series by Emily Rada. I listened to the first one on audiobook, again an Australian narrator, and I just am such a sucker for Australian accents. I read the first... I read the first 6 in the American editions. Apparently when it got translated to American from Australian, they printed them with different titles in a different order. They changed the name of the group. In the Australian version, the group is called Teen Power, and in this it's called Help for Hire. I don't know why they changed it. I don't understand American editions. But these 6 I felt were really good ones to read. They were in a really nice order. Each book is narrated by a different member of the group, and I got one book for each character. And the ending felt really solid. I actually felt like these were a good 6 to read, and I don't have to read any more, but part of me would like to get all 30 of them in the Australian editions and read those. I think that would be fun. Not all of them are actually by Emily Rada. The first one and the last one were, and then the other ones all had like co-authors. And the 6th one wasn't as good, and I blame that on the other author. Like, it didn't feel like Emily Rada's writing. I don't think Emily Rada was actually involved in any of them except the first and the last one. But it was kind of marketing on her name, you know? But it worked, and the other ones were really good. I was disappointed by this one because it was narrated by Rochelle, whom I was really intrigued by. I thought she was a fascinating character, and I could not wait to read a book from her point of view. And then I was completely let down. It was not well written. Most of them involve pretty intense things, like kidnappings and murders and robberies that are kind of intense, like aggressive robberies. And then this one was somebody, like, playing pranks. Like, one of the things was putting flour on a door and it fell on somebody. But everybody acted like this was as intense as armed robbery. Everyone was going crazy over these pranks. But overall, I really enjoyed the series. They're very young. I wish that I had found them when I was like 11, because I think I would have been obsessed. Light mysteries, very character driven. There is an Emily Rada vibe. Like, I feel like she really established the characters in the first book and did a really good job with that. And that's it for books I read in June. I don't really do TBRs anymore because I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to read in July. I do know that I will be reading my book group book for the Novel Alliance. We are reading The Iron Trial by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. I don't know much about it, but I'm really excited. If you would like to watch our live show discussion, I forgot to look up the date, but it will be the last Thursday in July. I'll post the date right here. See? That is the date. And we will be doing that over on Josh's channel. Again, I will link to his channel in the underbar. So if you would like to read The Iron Trial and then come join us for our live show discussion, that would be awesome. And that is all I have to say. I just am not a person today, guys. But thank you for joining me. What did you read during June? Did you read anything really good? Have you read any of the books that I listed? What do you think of them? Yeah, let me know as a comment. I love comments. Comments are the best. Comments. I'm gonna go sleep for like 8 days and then maybe I'll be coherent again. Probably not, but we'll see. I'll try. So, thanks for watching. Happy reading. I love you guys. Talk to you later.